The 2025 Formula One season was supposed to be McLaren's golden year. They've built the fastest car, crushed Red Bull and Ferrari, and finally returned to championship-winning form. But behind the celebrations and champagne, a silent storm has erupted, one that could decide not only the Drivers' Championship, but the future balance of power inside Woking. Singapore was the breaking point. A simple on-track clash between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri has spiraled into accusations of bias, frustration, and betrayal. McLaren may have secured their long-awaited constructors' crown, but internally, the team is fracturing. Now, Andrea Stella and Zak Brown are reportedly launching an internal review to prove, or perhaps to disprove, that McLaren isn't favouring one driver over the other. This isn't just another team rivalry. This could be the story that defines the 2025 season. When the checkered flag dropped in Singapore, McLaren should have been celebrating one of their greatest triumphs in years, sealing the 2025 Constructors Championship with 6 races to spare. But instead of unity and joy, the atmosphere inside the team turned cold. What should have been a night of champagne and smiles ended with frustration, silence, and an internal investigation ordered from the top. Oscar Piastri wasn't on the podium with his team. Officially, he was tied up with post-race media duties. Unofficially, whispers from the paddock suggest something deeper, that the young Australian is growing increasingly alienated inside the very team that gave him his shot at glory. It's a crisis that's been brewing for months. The first cracks appeared at Monza when McLaren issued one of the most controversial team orders of the season. After a slow pit stop for Lando Norris, the team instructed Piastri to hand back P2 to his British teammate. The reasoning: fairness, an attempt to balance strategy luck earlier in the race, but to Piastri, who was fighting for a world title, that didn't feel fair at all. He obeyed, but he didn't forget. He expected payback down the line a moment, when the team would return the favour and restore the balance. That moment should have come in Singapore. Norris had collided with Max Verstappen early in the race, damaging his front wing slightly and sending his car sliding into Piastri's path. The two McLarens made contact light, but costly. Norris pushed past and stayed there, while Piastri fumed over the radio, demanding a swap. McLaren said nothing. The steward stayed out of it. The result: Norris on the podium, Piastri finishing 4th, and as Norris cut his championship lead down to 22 points, the perception of favouritism inside McLaren exploded into the open. What followed after the race confirmed the tension. Piastri skipped the early podium celebrations, appeared visibly irritated in interviews, and refused to comment on the team's decision not to intervene. Inside the garage, sources described an icy atmosphere between the two drivers. Team principal Andrea Stella and CEO Zak Brown knew they had to act. Within days, reports emerged that McLaren had launched an internal review into recent race management, a direct attempt to reassure Piastri's camp, led by former F1 driver Mark Webber, that the team is not prioritising Norris in the title fight. Andrea Stella has reportedly promised a detailed analysis of every decision made since Monza, including pit calls, radio messages, and team orders. The message is clear: McLaren wants to prove there is no number one driver. Yet history shows that once a driver feels the team has picked a side, trust rarely returns. It's the same dynamic that tore apart Red Bull in 2010 and Mercedes in 2016. When two title contenders share the same garage, neutrality becomes almost impossible. Veteran voices in the paddock have already weighed in. David Coulthard called Piastri's frustration completely understandable, pointing out that his argument for a position swap in Singapore was strong but ignored. Meanwhile, former F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone stirred the pot, suggesting McLaren have already chosen their champion, the homegrown hero, Lando Norris. From a business perspective, it's easy to see why. Norris is British, deeply tied to McLaren's brand identity and a global fan favourite. But inside the garage, that perception could destroy the team's hard-won harmony. McLaren insiders have told F1 photographer Kim Illman that papaya rules, McLaren's internal code of equality, are now gone. According to them, the gloves are off. Norris and Piastri are free to race without interference. On paper, that sounds exciting. In reality, it's dangerous. Every battle between them is now personal. One small mistake, one touch of wheels, and McLaren could lose both cars, along with their reputation for control. You can already see the pressure building. Piastri, once calm and composed, now sounds increasingly frustrated. He's questioning team strategies, showing flashes of irritation on the radio, and growing doubtful of decisions that don't go his way. Meanwhile, Norris seems freer than ever, confident, smiling, and steadily closing the gap in the standings. The atmosphere inside McLaren's garage has changed. What used to be unity now feels like a quiet rivalry that's getting harder to contain. Rumours are already spreading that Piastri might be thinking about his future beyond McLaren. Some suggest he could be looking at other options in the years ahead. It's only speculation for now, but in Formula One, stories like these rarely appear without reason. For now, Piastri won't walk away while McLaren still have the fastest car. But with major rule changes coming soon, everything could shift overnight. If the team loses its edge, or if tensions rise further, Piastri might start exploring new paths. That's why Zak Brown and Andrea Stella's internal review isn't just about fairness, it's about keeping the team together. They need both drivers to stay focused because a divided McLaren can't win not against the level of competition they face. The Constructors' title may already be secure, but the real battle now is inside the team. McLaren must keep both drivers working toward the same goal, instead of turning on each other. Yet, there's a truth every top team faces eventually. One driver always becomes the main focus. It happens naturally through strategy, pit stops, or simple internal choices, and when that happens, someone always feels left behind. The challenge for McLaren is to delay that moment long enough to win the Drivers' Championship without breaking apart from the inside. History has shown how tough that can be. Every great rivalry in Formula One has tested teams to their limits, and McLaren could be heading down the same path if they don't handle things carefully. As the season reaches its final stretch, one question defines everything: can McLaren control their own success? Or has their biggest strength, building a car fast enough to dominate, become the very thing that threatens to divide them? Because at its heart, this isn't just about one race or one weekend. It's about the spirit of McLaren itself. Can they hold the team together? Or will this incredible season be remembered not for victory, but for the tension that nearly tore it apart? Tell me what you think. Can McLaren keep both drivers united, or is the pressure of success already too much to handle?